the air.
Hello friends, welcome to Studio Classroom on the Air. This is the place to come when you want to have some fun. My name is Rebecca, and today your English will improve. Yesterday we started discussing the best way to handle a sports injury. We started learning about the PRICE method, P-R-I-C-E. P and R stand for protection and rest. C stands for compression. E stands for elevate. What does I stand for? Well, that is what we are going to discuss today in a lesson called How to Handle a Sports Injury. Now, of course, prevention is always the best. We will discuss 3 tips to prevent an injury. First, warm up. Second, wear the right protective gear. And third, follow the rules. Well, friends, I know that you have your magazines with you. Make sure they're open, and let's begin. Come with me. How to handle a sports injury. The I stands for ice. Ice often has a noticeable benefit immediately after an injury occurs. The cold can help with pain. It also causes blood vessels to shrink, which can help control swelling. But using ice the wrong way can defeat the purpose of using it at all. Icing an injury for too long can damage your skin, and some doctors say that it prolongs the healing process. Only ice an injury for 5 to 10 minutes at a time. Then wait at least 20 minutes before icing it again.
Hello everyone, welcome to Language Lab. I'm Jack. 今天我们要看的第一个字是 noticeable。noticeable 是一个形容词，意思是很明显的或是很容易让人注意到的。我们来看例句。The hairstylist gave Wendy a bad haircut, and the mistake is very noticeable. 美发师剪坏了 Wendy 的头发，而且剪错的地方很明显。或是 Vicky spilled coffee on her pants, and she's trying to cover it with her jacket to make it less noticeable. Vicky 不小心把咖啡泼到裤子上，她试着用夹克来遮盖，所以不那么引人注意。还有一句 The restaurant has a new sign, but it is not very noticeable. 那家餐厅有新的看板，不过不是很明显。接下来我们要看的字是动词 prolong。To prolong 的意思是延长时间，甚至也有拖延时间的意思。例如 Let's try to finish this discussion as quickly as possible. There is no need to prolong the meeting. 让我们尽快把这件事讨论完，没必要一直拖延会议。或是 Trina had a wonderful time at the beach and wished she could prolong that feeling of happiness. Trina 在海边玩得很开心，她很希望能延长那种快乐的感觉。或是 By planting her vegetables in the greenhouse, Sabrina was able to prolong the growing season. Sabrina 在温室里种蔬菜，因此得以延长蔬菜的生长季节。
Thank you very much, Jack. Well, friends, if you're just joining us, we're on pages 12 and 13 of your magazine. We're learning all about how to deal with injuries. My name is Gabe, and I gotta say, Rebecca, I like how this lesson was written or divided, because yesterday we talked about the P and the R from Price, and also the C and the E, but we skipped over the I.
That's right, because we get to talk about the I today, because the I is very important.
Hey, that's another great word that I can stand for. Ice, when you're trying to handle an injury, can be very important. And you'll notice it takes up most of today's lesson.
That's right. So we read the I stands for ice. Ice often has a noticeable benefit immediately after an injury occurs. Now, obviously, we're talking about sports injuries, so not every injury requires you to ice it. But most sports injuries, at least the ones that we're talking about, could use some ice.
Now, I noticed that you use the word ice as a verb, just as our lesson does in the next paragraph. You can ice an injury, just like this person is doing here in this picture. Maybe they injured their knee while playing soccer. Perhaps they also got a shin splint while playing soccer. Do you remember learning about that phrase yesterday?
Oh, yes, I do. Well, we read here, the cold can help with pain. It also causes blood vessels to shrink, which can help control swelling. And we want to take a look at that word control. When you control something as used in our lesson, that just means that you keep something from growing or keep it from getting bigger.
That's right. So there are some things in life that are very important to control. Some people's jobs are all about controlling something, like maybe traffic police is about controlling the traffic, right? But for you personally, you can control some things. If you get an injury, you can control the swelling, like our lesson says. You can control your temper as well. How you get angry at something, that is controlling your temper. You want to not lose control. Maybe an opposite for the word control is to let something get out of hand. So you don't want to let the swelling get out of hand.
That's right. Well, we read, but using ice the wrong way can defeat the purpose of using it at all. So if you are going to ice your injury, it's important that you do it the right way.
That's right. Well, we want to take a look at a very useful phrase here in our lesson, and that is the idea of something defeating the purpose of doing something.
Well, this just means that you make something pointless, like there's no point in doing it.
Right. So here's another example of defeating the purpose. Usually we use the phrase defeat the purpose when you're actually trying to do something, like you have a purpose for doing something, but then what you end up doing actually makes it pointless for what you went to do. So here's an example. If you're going to travel overseas, well, don't just stay in your hotel room the whole time. Some people do that. They stay in their hotel room, they just watch TV, 24/7. That defeats the purpose of traveling to a different country, not to mention it's a waste of money.
Absolutely. If you're going to travel to a different country, you really should get out of your hotel room. You don't need to just stay in your hotel room. Go see things. And of course, we're talking about icing an injury, and if you use ice the wrong way, it can completely defeat the purpose of using ice at all.
That's right. But of course, icing can be a good thing, or it should be a good thing. I mean, in the previous sentence, we read that it causes blood vessels to shrink, which can control swelling. And just so you know, the word shrink, that means to get smaller. Okay, the opposite would be to grow. So you want your blood vessels to shrink to help control the swelling.
So now you may be wondering, well, how are you supposed to use this ice? Our lesson says icing an injury for too long can damage your skin, and some doctors say that it prolongs the healing process. So this is the important part right here. Only ice an injury for 5 to 10 minutes at a time.
Okay, well that's very important to keep in mind. I'm glad I read this lesson today. Okay, so 5 to 10 minutes only, not for too long. Because I have iced injuries before, and sometimes I leave the ice on there for a long time. I guess that could be harmful.
Apparently, actually, I remember when I broke my foot, and of course my foot was all swollen. And I remember putting ice on my foot, and I feel like it stayed on my foot for quite a long time, definitely more than 5 or 10 minutes. I usually wait until the ice finished melting.
Really? Finishes melting?
Yeah, it finishes melting, and then I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm done icing my foot.
That's really funny. Now, you can melt your foot in hot water.
Right.
Right. Okay, well, our lesson does continue. Then wait at least 20 minutes before icing it again. So you can ice it after a while, but don't keep it on there for longer than 5 to 10 minutes at a time. We have more to learn later, but of course we're talking about injuries. Sometimes we can injure our muscles. Let's take a look at the phrase to muscle in the info cloud.
Well,
friends, welcome to InfoCloud. Most people are familiar with the English word muscle. But today, I want to discuss how we use muscle as a verb.
Oh, you mean like the expression muscle in?
Exactly. The word muscle gives us the impression of brute force. When someone is trying to muscle in on something, that means they are trying to interfere very forcefully.
For example, my coworker is trying to muscle in on my project to get credit.
When someone is trying to muscle in, that means they are forcefully interfering and trying to gain control over something.
On the other hand, we can also use muscle someone out of something, which means forcing a person out of a position, a place, or an affair.
My boss is trying to muscle me out of my job. He is forcing me to quit. That's not a pretty situation.
No, it's not. Whenever we use the word muscle as a verb, it usually involves more violent and forceful actions, either emotionally or physically.
那我们听到 muscle 这个字，通常会想到肌肉，但其实 muscle 也可以当作动词使用，像是 muscle in 就代表强势介入一件事情。My coworker is trying to muscle in on my project. 我的同事企图介入我的企划案。通常 muscle in 代表一个人试着要强势取得一件事情的掌控权。另外 muscle someone out 就是要将一个人从一个职位或是一个地方赶出去。My boss is trying to muscle me out of my job. 我的老板强势的逼我辞职。这就是今天的 InfoCloud， 我们下次云端见。
Studio Classroom is on the air.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Studio Classroom, where we are talking about how to handle a sports injury. Now, we just discussed what that letter I means in PRICE for the price method. I means ice. You should ice the injury. However, if you ice the injury the wrong way, it could defeat the purpose of using ice at all. Well, friends, let's continue learning the best way to ice an injury. How to handle a sports injury. Remember to wrap an ice pack in a small towel before putting it on your skin. And there is no reason to apply ice if your injury is more than 6 hours old. Prevention is best though. Here are 3 simple steps to help. 1. Warm up. Making abrupt movements without warming up first is an easy way to pull a muscle. 2. Wear the right protective equipment for your sport. 3. Rules are designed to keep everyone safe, so follow them and encourage your friends to do the same.
.好，我们再来看下一个字 prevention 这个字里面有 prevent 这个动词，意思是防止或是避免。那么 prevention 的意思也是防止或预防，只不过它是一个名词。我们来看例句 By the king's orders, 2 dams were built for flood prevention. 在国王的命令下，有2座水坝被建起来，为了防止洪水泛滥。或是The mayor has been talking a lot about crime prevention in his city. 市长一直在提他城市里的犯罪预防。还有一句 A new law has been passed for the prevention of animal cruelty. 预防动物虐待的新法已获得通过。最后我们要看的字是 abrupt. Abrupt 是一个形容词，在文章里是很突然的意思。例如 It was very hard for the team to get anything done because the leader was always making abrupt decisions. 那个团队很难把事情完成，因为团队的领导人老是做出很突然的决定。或是 When the manager told everyone he was leaving, we were all surprised by his abrupt announcement. 经理向大家说他要离开公司时，大家对他这突然的宣布都感到很惊讶。Abrupt 也可以指很粗鲁的意思，例如 Rodney is not a good salesman because he's always so abrupt with people. Rodney 不适合当业务员，因为他对人都很粗鲁。All right, let's get back to our teachers.
Thank you very much, Jack.
Oh, that's it. That was very abrupt.
To say thank you?
You're just stopping.
Yep. Well, I wanted to say thank you, and I was waiting for you to provide an example sentence from one of the words. Abrupt.
Yeah.
Very well done, Gabe.
Thanks. Okay.
That was also a little abrupt.
Sorry about that. Well, let's continue with our lesson. Yes. As you could see, being abrupt sometimes, especially in a conversational setting, can create an awkward feeling. But yeah, that's not what our lesson means when it's talking about something abrupt. We'll get to that again soon. But we do continue here. Remember to wrap an ice pack in a small towel before putting it on your skin. That is very important. There is such a thing as, like, I guess, ice burn. It's kind of a burning sensation because you have ice on your skin.
And there is no reason to apply ice if your injury is more than 6 hours old. That's also very important to remember. Ice is best right after an injury takes place. But we want to take a look at that phrase, no reason to do something. This just means that there's no need to do something, or there's no explanation.
That's right. Maybe you did something and it just was not a rational response to what someone did to you. Why did you hit him? All he did was disagree with you. That's no reason to hit him. That's kind of a violent reaction, right? So it didn't match what was done first. Or perhaps sometimes we might say, that's no reason to get angry or to get upset. I know someone did something you don't like. That's no reason to get really angry.
That's right. Excellent examples. Our lesson says prevention is best, though. Here are 3 simple steps to help. Of course, if we could prevent any sports injury, that is definitely the best. But unfortunately, even when you try really hard to prevent an injury, sometimes people still get injured.
That's true. Accidents happen, as they say, right? But there are some things we can do to prevent injuries. One, very basic one and very important, one that I hear all the time is right here, warm up. Warm up. Do some stretches, right? Making abrupt movements without warming up first is an easy way to pull a muscle.
That's right. And yesterday we talked about what it means to pull a muscle. And I know from experience, pulling a muscle can be very, very, very painful. Sometimes it really feels like you broke something when you really didn't. It's just a pulled muscle, but it hurts.
So maybe you can do some research, friends. Look up the best way to warm up. I remember when I was in PE class in high school, and our coach said that we need to stretch each set of muscles for a long time, like 15 to 20 seconds each. Because some people like to stretch this very quickly. And my coach said that wasn't a very good idea. I'm not exactly sure who is correct. There's new research coming out all the time. So do your research. What is the best way to stretch or warm up?
Well, the next tip we read is wear the right protective equipment for your sport. So depending on what your sport is, there's certain equipment, protective equipment, that you're supposed to be wearing. Make sure you wear it.
That's right. Of course, if you're playing football, you got to wear a helmet. I know rugby players kind of laugh at that. But it's true, protective equipment is there for a reason, and so are rules. Here's number 3. Rules are designed to keep everyone safe, so follow them.
Exactly. We want to take a look at the phrase designed to. If something is designed to do something, that means it's made for a very specific purpose or a specific reason.
So for another example of something designed to do something, this car is designed to beep non-stop when your seatbelt is not buckled. And that's a good thing. You want to buckle your seatbelt. That's the first thing that people check when you're doing a driving test. If you don't buckle your seatbelt, the first thing, you might fail the test completely.
Yes, so the car is designed to beep. And in the same way, rules are designed to keep everyone safe, so follow them and encourage your friends to do the same.
And that phrase to do the same, sometimes we use that because we don't want to just repeat the same words we said in the previous sentence. But that's the idea. You want to do what you just said in the previous sentence. Follow the rules, and we think you should do the same. That means to also follow the rules. We recycle, and we think you should do the same. That means you should also recycle. Well, you know what? I think that friends can really influence each other to do good things. Let's enjoy a song that discusses that, and you'll learn a new idiom too. Here we go.
Don't let the fire die. Don't let the fire die. Don't let the fire die. Don't let it die. Don't let the fire die. Don't let the fire die. Don't let the fire die. Don't let it die. Friends, have you been working on something, maybe a project or something that you're passionate about, and you are really excited at first, but then after a while it got hard? Don't let the fire die. You can do it.
Or maybe you're in a relationship and there was a big flame at first because you were deeply in love. But over time, you feel like the fire has slowly started to die. Friends, don't let the fire burn out.
Don't let it burn out. Don't lose heart today. Even when you've lost your flame, don't let it die. Don't let it burn out. Don't lose heart today. Even when you've lost your flame, don't let it die.
Don't let the fire
Don't let it
die.
burn out.
Don't let the fire
Lose
die.
heart today.
Don't let the fire
Even when
die.
you've lost your flame, don't let it die.
Don't let the fire
Let it
die.
burn out.
Don't let the fire
Lose heart today.
Don't let the
Even
fire
when you've lost your flame, don't let it die.
So friends, let's review. What is the best way to prevent a sports injury? Well, first, warm up. You should warm up before doing any sort of sport. And of course, wear the right protective gear. And finally, follow the rules. Rules are there for a reason, and you should follow them. Well, friends, thank you very much for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you next time, right here on Studio Classroom.
A good friend lasts a lifetime. I am so proud to have you in my life. A good friend lasts a lifetime.